So it's post-nerf and Godly Shadow is still doing its thing. I've had a lot of fun with this deck. I really could not fault it. There hasn't really been any nerf to this deck in particular, and it just does so well. People still question why I like Black Swan, and Black Swan is just amazing. Being able to ping that 2 damage can be the difference between having lethal and not having lethal in some games. Other than that, I still do recommend 3 Zeus, although 2 seems to be my operative number right now. I've actually found a really good success with it. Everything else I'm very happy with, especially with some of these changes. The dragon matchup is still a little bit of an iffy one for me, only because I haven't been able to play against too many dragons. But the Zeus versus Bahamut kind of category works out really, really well. So if they Bahamut and you drop Zeus after, you can trade optimally, especially since you can have so many Zeuses with this deck. I mean, on its own, you've got 6 with So Death, Rape Life, and Death Caller, plus the 2 you've already got. You're sacrificing at least 1 to Gloomy Necromancer. So at most, you can have, 7 Zeuses, which is pretty damn good. You can actually have more if you mess around with other cards and work out another deck, but unfortunately I don't have the legendary cards I want to make that one. But this deck is still super solid. I've lost 1 out of the last 4 games I've played, and that is fairly good in my opinion, so we'll get right into it and take a look. So first up as usual, Rune. There's a few different Rune variants popping up lately. I've seen a lot more Daria than Burn actually, which has surprised me just a little bit. Whether people are just becoming partial to Daria decks, or whether it's the fact that they are actually going to be half decent, I don't know. Either way, it definitely piques my interest a fair bit. Plus, this is a Grandmaster, so it's going to be an interesting match all around. We do start off with the Gloomy Necromancer, which is pretty much perfect. You want that in your opener as early as possible, because getting Zeus is usually the harder thing to get. But being able to combo the Gloomy with the Zeus is the ideal combo on turn 2. It's just a pity we didn't have it. Skull Ring, pretty solid turn 3. Even without anything procced off it, it's still good because you can just drop it and then throw out whatever you've got next. So this Daria definitely aiming to push me to the limit with spells. Getting some really solid spell boosts without me even having really any counter to them. But it's not going to be our final option. I mean, they are definitely playing a pretty solid game. But we've also got some pretty good cards. I mean, Ceres of the Night is going to be really good at avoiding things like this Owl here. The Gloomy Necromancer is already in hand, so we still are only waiting on Zeus playability. And we already have a Death Dragon, and there's Zeus. So I decided to skip over the Ceres this turn and push the Zeus out instead. Then just take the Evolve on the Skeleton to easily trade this off. Evolves aren't the most important thing to this deck. Usually you're just using them to control the early game, so when you do start dropping Zeuses repeatedly over and over and over again, you're not really going to be in any trouble. Although I do recommend evolving the Peacock if you get the chance. Of course, I haven't really got the chance with this matchup just because it is so awkward. Although I might get the chance here. Nope, the Owl does the trade, so that's kind of sad. Not the best thing, but it does the job. Lurching Corpse plus Necro Assassin clears both of these, and I can ping 2 more damage. Couldn't ask for a much better setup. So we still have some okay cards. I mean, we're 1 turn off going into Dragon Call, so that's going to be absolutely crazy. To be able to drop Zeus turn 8 really affects the game, especially when you drop a 2-2 that can come a 4-4 with an Evolve stat, allowing you to easily trade. You can't ask for much better than that. But we do get to see Ceres drop. I'm probably going to use the Evolve on Ceres instead, just because Ceres just has so much more value. Being able to easily kill off everything 2 health here and then easily heal me up if I needed it, which I currently don't, but it's always a good thing to have. And we do get to clear this entire board this turn, while setting up for Zeus next turn into probably another Zeus on turn 9, so we're really quite set with this hand. Being able to just roll Zeus over and over and over again while also picking up the clears on this board is just crazy. Especially since we just drew another Dragon Caller, so we actually have 2 of them now. So that's 3 Zeuses from our hand.
Did you like it?
2 of which will be super early, and 1 of which will allow us to play at least 2 more cards with it. So, Mysterious Knowledge. I don't know what they're really searching for here. Rite of Exorcism. Alright, they're looking for a way to kill that, I guess. And Chimera. Okay, so they go for pretty much the full clear here. The only thing left on my boards is 2-2, which is good. I mean, we're going to get the damage. That's positive. And we can throw out another Dragon Caller for another Zeus. So 7 damage. So Death, Reap Life should close out the game. If it doesn't, we do have other options. Chimera, lucky we have enough on board with this Zeus to really split up the damage. I mean, it's going to absorb 14 total out of it, so leaving them with 8 and 4 on board. Still not going to be enough to kill me, and Zeus will close our game. That's why I just love this deck. It's so much fun. And surprisingly consistent. I could easily throw this into a top tier deck, quite easily. So next up, I get to play against Sword. Sword is one of those matches that's a little bit awkward just because Sword has some decent board flood, which is hard to deal with in the early game with this deck. But it's not an impossible win. If you can make it to about turn 6 and then just start clearing with things like Odile and Necro Assassin, usually you can win the match pretty easily. It's just getting to that point before they basically roll you over. But Sword not having a 1-drop, that's positive. And we already have our Gloomy Necro Zeus combo. Kind of what we needed to really make this match. So it looks like we are going to get to play our Gloomy turn 2. I always love using it turn 2. I still think that's the best time to pull off the Zeus. And we draw into another Gloomy. So that Gloomy is basically extra draw power. There's nothing else I really need to use it for at this point. Lancer of Tempest. It's a weird one to throw into that, but I guess that's what they wanted to do, so they did it. And we don't have much other than Zombie Party here. I may as well save the Peacock to use with the Evolve, maybe, or just in general use it. Wow, we haven't seen really anything. So the Evolve on the Peacock, plus the Demon Eater, that gives us 3 draws and builds up our draw pile. Couldn't ask for a much better play set on turn 4 for me. And we have all 3 Underworlds. That's amazing. Being able to have all 3, really solid against Sword, and really will help me push into that 8+ bracket. It's just making it this far. So far, we've got the chance. We just need a little bit more. Double Skeletons and Lurching. Pretty happy with that. Council of the Card Knights. Probably one of the most annoying cards to deal with because it does have all 3 health followers and 1 Bane. So dealing with that's going to be important. Zombie Party deals with the Bane. We can get a trade in just to lessen how much damage we take. Lurching Corpse Necro Assassin is double trade. Unfortunately, we hit the 2-1. I would have preferred to have hit the 1-2s and then been able to use the Skeleton, but trading the Skeleton here I think is okay. I didn't really need to keep it around. And of course, rolling the Incorruptible Blade. Great. So all my Zeuses now deal 1 less damage. That's just perfect. At least there is 1 bonus. Dealing with this Roland is going to be easy. The Amulet's a real problem. But because it's only 1 less damage, it's only really going to drag them out just slightly. So really not a big problem. And I can play Underworld, so I don't even need to use an Evolve. I mean, I could have, but I really don't need it. Your Majesty! I'm taking you with Nearly everything in this deck is actually less than 4 health, excluding Odile and Zeus. They're the only 2 followers in this entire deck. Also, a few people in my last couple of videos have said, you know, could I run Bahamut in replace of Zeus? No, you really can't. Zeus is literally the core card to this deck, other than Gloomy, of course, and the Reanimates, but Zeus itself, without it, it's pretty much worthless. Summoning a 13-13, or at least what was a 13-13, now a 9-9, really isn't worth it when it has no effect. It just isn't. Especially now that it's been hit in that way, it's definitely not worth running it like that. At best, you could maybe consider Israfil, only because Israfil gives you board clear potential, but you're not going to be attacking with it the turn you're summoning it unless you have an evolve point already, and that's really something you're not really wanting to hold on to. So I recommend running it pretty close to what I'm running now. You could swap out the Odiles, the Ceres, maybe even Necro Assassin, and just mix and match numbers there, but everything else I think is pretty stock standard for this deck and what you'd really want to be running. we do get another Zeus. It's pretty okay. Basically, we're just going to be going face now. I mean, the odds of them having enough damage to actually clear this Zeus repeatedly is pretty low. Although Fangblade Slayer is a nice way to do it. I was a little surprised by the Fangblade Slayer. But they still got to trade with the rest of the board, so really not a big concern. Especially since I just drew another death. That's crazy. Having another one, absolutely maddening. Especially since we already have So Death 3 Life. I also decided to go for the Evolve here because I want to deal extra damage. Since evolving Zeus would be pointless because I'd still only deal 4, at least this way I get the extra 2 damage. Mainly setting up for the fact that I should be able to play Zeus, then play Odile into the next turn, and actually win, so... It's my basically one shot. If they cannot clear Zeus next turn, and even if they can, they're probably not going to have enough damage to deal with it. So I do go with the So Death 3 Life. It does allow me to play other cards, basically. And they end up conceding anyway, so it doesn't matter, but it's really nice. Zeus would have actually been one off now I think about it. So with the last game, Zeus being probably one off lethal with Odile just because of that amulet. I didn't really account for that when I was speaking before, but that's fine. Otherwise, we could have easily just dropped, you know, another Dragon Caller, summoned another Zeus, rammed another 4 damage for lethal anyway, so it really wasn't a big deal. But this deck, great fun. I highly recommend it if you are sick of ladder. Again, I'm not sure how well it's going to go against Dragon. The few matches I had were pretty even, I would say. They just weren't really overbearing, but they also weren't underwhelming, so I really am not sure how to class this against Dragon yet. I'll probably revisit it in another week, just depending on how things go with the next month or so. It's just really interesting. There hasn't been a lot of decks to cover because there isn't a lot of variation in rotation at the moment. So I've tried to cover everything that's been kind of major or fun or stuff like that, and I'm really hoping you guys are enjoying it. If you are, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. You will find the deck list in the description below. Be sure to check out IS Empire and Wonder Melody's channels, also linked in the description below, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.